where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sandobi hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Pileski dives onto the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Pileski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around Mills at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will cook the grass a little away. 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernot. Gernot will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Teemu Vaskilampi winning at Laguna Seca and taking home victory for the nation of Finland made him the 6th different winner of the season. The man with the most is Gernot Frisch with 4, but in the points standings, he sits only 8 points behind the man with 0 wins onto the Pisto. In the penultimate round, will we see a 7th different winner or a championship contender scoring the vital points? Let's find out together. Hello and welcome to the GSRC's coverage of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, live from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Up in the booth today, calling the action will be Asian Puhaka, joining myself, Nick Schmeg. Joe Peak is in the director's chair today, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Formula One championships coming down to the wire have been decided at a few tracks, but in recent history, Interlagos has certainly stood out. For championship drama to unfold, we first need to know what kind of track the drivers are up against today in South America, so let's get a better look with the GSRC Lap Guide.
Welcome to Autódromo's José Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Sena S, followed by the blast towards the Descida do Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Juchao, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo.
Interlagos, certainly a track that has seen some people celebrate some triumphant races, but also some emotional races as well. Drivers losing championships here. This isn't going to be the deciding race. It is the penultimate round, but we've got some race details to look at here. It is round number 11 of 12. It is 30 laps long. Which is going to be very interesting for these drivers. And incident points, of course, always an issue here. But Asi and I was talking about the track just a while ago. Fill us in a little bit more on what we should expect today at Interlagos.
About 4.5 kilometers of a racetrack, to put it bluntly. But there is a lot more about this track. 2.6 miles, 4.3 kilometers, 15 turns. It is a track of two natures. You got the technical infield section from turns 6 all the way to turn 12. So from Ferradura to Juncao. And then the outfield section, the half oval section, that is very fast. You're going to be running up the hill. And that means you're gonna have to need to adjust your wing accordingly, because in the infield section you want a lot of wing to take those medium speed, low speed corners, but the long straight is gonna be pretty much the only overtaking opportunity, in addition to the one going from 3 to 4. So you're gonna need a low wing setting to actually be able to overtake someone. So we're gonna see a lot of compromise in the setups of these cars, and a lot of drivers actually dislike this track just because you have to make constant compromises, Nick. So that's something we're gonna have to watch out for in terms of, okay, who has the qualifying setup dialed out and who has the race setup dialed out. And as you said, you went on about the race details already, round 11 of 12, 30 laps and so on, open setup. We're gonna jump straight into the driver points, which we have up next, and it is looking very tight up there. The championship battle between these two contenders, Antti Lepistö still in the lead with 396 points. Gernot Fritzsche in second place, just 8 points behind the leader Antti. And Alex Milward in third position, 77 points behind Nick Thiessen fourth and Martin Gromberg fifth. So it is tight for fourth place and it is tight for the lead, and we have championship implications in terms of the driver's title out here today in the penultimate round. But Nick, you have the team points. How is it looking in that regard?
Well, Laguna Seca switched back in Warsteiner Aero's racing team's favor. They've led the whole season. They went down to second for just one small race, but they are back on top and back by 16 points over the Alfa Romeo team. The Auto Delta guys, they're actually having to worry about losing that second place position because the Williams team is right behind them, only by 3 points. So a lot to look for there. A lot of these drivers, though, they are going to be just very distracted, especially Lepistö and Frisch with that drivers' championship. Like you said, they're only separated by 8 points. We see qualifying going on now. It's Nick Thiessen up at the top of the board. Teemu Vaskilampi, though, he's right back in second. And Antti Lepistö, he's making his second lap now. He sits in third.
Yeah, those are the guys currently challenging for the pole position. I'm looking at Jamie Hall right now. He is coming to the last corner, last proper corner on this track rather, and then heading on to the long main straight on his second and final lap. Where will he qualify? 11th in his first lap, 125.0. Let's see what he can do. He's 8/10 a second behind Nick Thiessen, but that doesn't mean much because that was his first lap. Let's see what he can do here. Oh, Jamie Hall, he's not gonna improve. Well, gonna improve just a little bit on his second lap. End up in 12th place. Gernot Fritzsche in the second position already, and he's still starting his second lap. So that was something quite impressive for Gernot in his first lap. And another guy who is gonna be a contender out here today. No need to take him to pictures as he has already completed his laps. But the Porsche iRacing Super Cup contender, Jeremy Butler.
Yeah, Butterloop is out there and up in 6th place. A little bit of a different machine that he's having to drive today. Now we see Mike Racines coming across the line. And it looks like Chris Baumann just went up to 6th place as well.
Yeah, those guys are also in their lap. So Chris Baumann he's on his third lap right now. He's gonna elevate himself to the 6th place, as you said a moment ago. So it's tight up front, and it's also a surprisingly good level in the field. Of course, Jeremy being here is gonna have an effect, but we are also seeing a couple of return movers here. Philip Blake, for example, he's with number 4 in this race, gonna be starting 15th. A big field in general, and a lot of veteran drivers out there as well. So that's gonna play a big part in this race, and well, all the way to something like P20, well, P15 properly, when you look at it, P15, P16, there are guys who can potentially be in the top 5 in this event. So it's gonna be interesting as they head on to the first corner.
Absolutely, lots of fast drivers, and we have seen this series, especially over the last couple of weeks, Ozzy, get more and more exciting. Just some phenomenal racing at Monza, Laguna Seca, and hopefully today at Interlagos. We've got 24 drivers. Qualifying has just wrapped up, so let's go to the grid. Nick Thyssen is going to be on the pole. He won back at the Nürburgring. He's looking for a second win today. Gernot Frisch starting alongside of him in row number 1, with Teemu and Antti back in row number 2. 5th and 6th place are going to go to Sergio Fernandez and Chris Baumann. Jeremy Boudaloop in the number 2 car is going to be starting alongside David Roth in the 17 in row number 4. 9th place and 10th place are going to be rounded out by Marco Derricks and Martin Gronberg.
In 11th place, it is Alex Milward starting surprisingly low for this hot-headed English driver. Freak Tenkate alongside him. Jamie Hall, Alex's teammate, gonna be starting 13th in row number 7 alongside Mike Rasimas. Then it's 2 veterans, Philip Lake, Rob Olenik, and John Stevens, Angelika Pawlowski starting 17th, 18th, Nicolas Mukanos and Keith Herner 19th and 20th. And just gonna round out your last couple of guys, Jesus Vasilias, Barry West, Gorchinet and Dennis Shanning gonna round out your 24 driver field. And well, it's gonna be an interesting race. Couple of guys from Camel GT here as well, I'm noticing. Philip Lake, especially Jamie Hall, has made a couple of appearances, and Nicolas Mukanos too. So those are gonna shake up the field nicely. But heading into the first corner, well, Nick, as we wait for the cars to grid up, the first corner, that's gonna be a really difficult challenge. The Esto Senna, it's a really tight place. Let's see how they make it out there.
It is a very tight turn indeed, a very tight series of turns, I should say, but then they've got that long straightaway where they might be able to get some positions back. The lights are up, and they are out quickly. Nick Thyssen's going to have a great jump. It was a very poor jump from Gernot Frisch. He's already going to be overtaken by Antti the Pisto, coming right up through the middle, right to the outside of Nick Thyssen as they go down through Senna.
Antti had a brilliant start from the 4th place. He rocketed away, was challenging the leader, Nick Thyssen, going into first corner, and Antti has his starts absolutely dialed here this season. He's gonna overtake Gernot, gonna overtake Teemu, and gonna overtake rest of the guys as well. Another guy with a good start, David Roth, from 8th all the way to 5th, and Alex Milward and Jeremy Boudaloop are alongside each other in a battle for the 7th place.
Milward had a phenomenal start back from outside the top 10. He moves up big time, almost into the top 5, but they are still stacking up behind Boudaloop. It is Baumann, Derricks, and Hall. Derricks getting very sideways back there. But this is all happening behind our leader, Nick Thyssen.
Yeah, and Nick Thyssen still leading away, and it was a clean start for everybody. Oh, just as I was saying that one guy had a big moment. That was Chris Baumann having a big moment, losing a couple of positions, almost spinning out in the first lap, but able to keep going. And that means all of these drivers are gonna head onto the main straight for the first time properly at speed. We are seeing some drivers close to each other, and here are the downforce levels being measured for the first time. Interlagos, I mentioned in the qualifying, it's a track of 2 natures. Nick, here we are seeing who are running the lowest downforce levels. Gernot Frisch has a good run on Antti.
And you can see that Nick Thyssen felt a little bit threatened. He tried to break that draft back to Antti the Pisto. That's going to allow him a very good corner entry as they go back downhill, back through the Senna S. And he's going to be able to pull away just a little bit, it looks like, from that number 3 car of Antti the Pisto. But yeah, Lepisto's still under threat from behind. That's Gernot Frisch trying to get that position back. Huge championship implications between those two today.
I was just about to say, the championship on the line between these 2 drivers, and right now the contenders are 2nd and 3rd behind Nick Thyssen, who is leading this race. Antti and Gernot gonna have a battle that lasts always long. Can Teemu Vaskilampi do anything about it? He is sitting in 4th place. Remember, he was the winner last week, so Teemu certainly fought at Laguna Seca to his heart's content. And David Roffe, he's a bit of a surprise. He's sitting in the 5th place with car number 17 after starting from 8th, so he might be the real surprise of the race. However, coming under threat from Sergio Fernandez, from Alex Milward, and from Jeremy Boudaloop as well.
They've all got Teemu Vaskilampi in front of them in their sights, but all 24 drivers are still nose to tail in this race. No DNFs, no wrecks or spins early in this one. Very impressive, very clean and competitive start from everyone.
Indeed, and that's not usually what you see at Interlagos. That's usually something that people are maybe a little bit surprised about, seeing a clean start here, because usually you see a bit of crashing, a bit of mayhem in the Senna SS and in the first lap, but this time they got away cleanly, and that means the more the merrier. The line stretching all the way back to the last cars in the field. Nobody so far has retired. Even Dennis Shanning in the 24th place is still going. Fantastic views here and fantastic battles brewing here. I'm looking at a couple of guys being very close right now. That's David Roffe and Sergio Fernandez for the 5th place, and behind them as well Alex Milward and Jeremy Boudloup in 7th and 8th. So what can the World Championship Series driver do here against Milward, against Fernandez, and against Roffe?
All 4 of them right in a line together. Such a technical section of the track, and you mentioned the setup challenges that these drivers have. It really comes to life not just on the straightaways, but right through there as well, where they are really trying to get the handling down on these cars, still as those tires getting up to temperature. David Roth, like you said, coming up from 8th to 5th, obviously had a fantastic start in that number 17 car, but it looks like Alex Milward really struggling to keep that 7th place over Jeremy Boudloup back in, who started back in 7th. He's trying to get that spot back.
Yeah, and Milward being able to stretch away a little bit on a straight line. Boudloup coming back to him, but not really catching too much. Fernandez, however, has a chance on David Roffe heading into turn number 1. He's gonna stretch it to the inside, nothing doing there, but maybe able to get a better exit out of 3 going into 4. Let's see what happens here. Fernandez definitely has the inside open. Will Roffe defend? No.
He's gonna open the door. Behind them, Alex Milward was taking a peek as well, but Sergio Fernandez down low, and look at Milward coming through as well. Roth is going to lose 2 positions, all in 1 turn.
Yeah, and this is gonna scuttle this folk all right up to each other. Fernandez now leading that back, Milward right behind him, Roffe trying to get the position back, Boudloup there as well. Don't discount the World Championship Series driver, the Frenchman. He is a very good driver. He is quite calm at times. He is a calm, calculating driver. He is not a typical hothead that you see in the top tier series. He is calculating, and right now he is calculating his chances, trying to find the best chance as he goes alongside David Roffe. Gonna maybe try it into Junkao here, or maybe onto the main straight. Let's see what happens. Oh, he's gonna wait for the main straight. Once again, being very calculating, being very smart with his decision making. However, I would have liked to see him be a little bit more aggressive early on, because he might be seeing Fernandez and Milward run away with this one. Then again, he has trust in his pace, so there's that.
Certainly, patience has seemed to be the name of the game for many of these 24 drivers out on track. But yeah, you mentioned Boudloup in the World Championship for the Porsche Super Cup. That black stripe, no matter what car you're driving, that is always alarming to the rest of the field. We'll have to see if he's able to make up any ground later on in this thing.
Yeah, we call it by a little bit more of a demeaning name in Finnish community, the black stripe. That is the mark of a World Championship Series driver, of course, the license stripe. But, you know, it is still something that has a value. Definitely these days, when you don't anymore have these GD guys having the black stripe, so you just have the 40 best road drivers in the world and the best oval drivers in the world having their respective black stripes, as well as in the rallycross and the dirt oval communities. So, you know, it's it hasn't really reached the inflation compared to a couple of years back when you had some relatively unknown guys part of a big team that just do the endurance events, taking nothing away from them. But you had some surprising names with black stripes. And now you know that when a guy has the black stripe, he's one of the 40 best sim racers in the world. And beating them is a big feather in the cap of any of these drivers.
Absolutely impressive to be able to have that next to your name here on the iRacing service. Let's check back in on our leaders. We've kind of ignored them since the beginning of this race. Nick Thyssen continues to lead, but that gap, as you've noticed on the left side of your screen, has really not opened up at all. That's because Antti Lepisto and Gernot Frisch are keeping him honest up front. They are all nose to tail. Even Teemu Vaskalampi is kind of back in the popcorn position, back in 4th place. They'll spread out a little bit here on the straightaways, but through the S's, through those chicanes and technical portions of this track here at Interlagos, as Thyssen goes for a little bit of a ride there, it seems to close back up. So I'm wondering if Lepisto and Frisch are just biding their time. They seem to at least have the pace to stay with Thyssen. I just haven't seen them have the opportunity to get up there and contend for that lead.
Antti has all the time in the world as long as Felice is staying behind him. He knows that, and he is not rushing any moves because it's difficult to get away from someone as well, because that straight is the big equalizer. You have an uphill straight, and if you are 6 tenths away at the start of the straight, you're going to be right up someone's tail by the end of it. And something I noticed as well, Sergio Fernandez, Alex Milward, they are right now lapping faster than any of our leading warriors here. So it might be a leading 6, even leading 7, even leading 8, depending on what Dave Roffe and Jeremy Bootloop do here. And remember, this is a 30-lap race. It is a long race. It's going to take almost 45 minutes. So we still have time for these guys to get settled in. Once again, onto the main straight, Nick Thiessen is running a little bit away, but Gernot Fritsch, he has the best straight line speed out of these three, and that is going to be an advantage for him. But stay tuned for what's going to come. Fernandez once again with a very good lap time. Thiessen 25.9, Lepista 26.1, Fritsch 25.9, Vaskilampi 25.8, Fernandez 25.8, Milward 25.9.
And we saw a little bit of a dive down into Senna from Jeremy Bootaloop as well. He's even looking down in underneath David Roth now. That's for 7th place. That's Marco Derricks right behind him in that yellow car if anything should happen in front of him. And now Derricks is going to take a peek on the outside. He's going to have that door shut on him. Bootaloop, a great opportunity, but he just couldn't get it done.
Not quite yet. Yeah, Bootloop had a good chance there, but wasn't able to get past David Roth, and he doesn't want to stretch this too much either. So Bootloop content with sitting on the 8th place right now. Well, not content, but just taking a hold of his chances. Marco Derricks right behind them, Jamie Hall and Chris Bauman as well behind these two guys. So, you know, they are gonna form a little bit of a pack, and I wonder if David Trulli is gonna at some point, you know, give some room for these guys. But then again, he is entitled to hold on to the position. I'm just wondering how frustrated Bootloop is getting behind him, knowing that the leading pack is all there, and that would be a delicious battle for him to get in.
This just goes to show the skill level that we see week in and week out in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, as Bootaloop finally is going to get underneath him, and he's going to clear Roth for that position. It took him a while, though. That black stripe had to sit back in 8th place for a couple of laps, and even with that, he's only made it up to 7th. But David Roth, he better watch out, because Marco Derricks, he's coming with a full head of steam. Don't think he's going to be able to pull out a line here. No, he's going to be a little bit late on the brakes, but not get side by side behind them. That's for 10th place between Chris Bauman and Jamie Hall.
Yeah, Chris Bauman and Jamie Hall quite close to each other, and also, I don't know, David Roth went a little bit wide on the exit corner, not giving Derricks a chance to attack, but definitely making a few mistakes, and Roth is gonna really need to get a move on behind Bootloop in order to get away from Derricks, get away from Hall, get away from Bauman, and all of this group. And behind them, just gonna give a quick shout out to Philip Lake and Friedkin Kate, who are still 12th and 13th. Philip Lake has made a couple of positions up since the start, and he's one of those guys that usually finish somewhere around the top 10. And certainly with the leading packs so close, we might see a guy or two drop out from this battle pack. But here we are going to see, as Bootloop, Mr. Blackstripe, has made the pass, how fast will his pace be from the next lap out, and how will he do in a straight line versus Roffe, versus Derricks, versus Jamie Hall? Can he get away, or will he have to stay in this battle in the 7th position? Roffe is certainly coming faster in turn 1, but not fast enough, not going to get a chance.
And Ozzy, you mentioned very early in this race that Bootaloop would have to be aggressive early on, or else he would lose the battle between Fernandez and Milward, and that's exactly what's happened. Fernandez in 5th, Milward in 6th have pulled away significantly from them, about 3 seconds in front of them. But look at this, Derricks underneath. He's making a look, and he's going to get around Roth.
Yeah, it's almost as if I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you know, Marco Derricks, he is now past David Roffe, and Jamie Hall is going to see David Roffe coming to a lot of difficulty as the tires are heating up, as the cars are getting lighter. We have 39 degrees Celsius track temp. That is about 100 degrees Fahrenheit that these guys are having to contend with. It is afternoon here, just 1 p.m. virtual standard time, so it is gonna get hot as the race progresses. And you know, the samba is playing in the bleachers, in the grandstands. There is water being sprayed over the spectators, and there is a fiesta going on in Interlagos, in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Well, And, I'm just looking forward to the rest of this race, honestly, because there are still over 20 laps to go, and nothing has been decided yet. But look at Bootloop now. With Derek's battling with Roffe and Jamie Hall, he is starting to pull away, and I want to see this lap time as he comes over the line here. We're going to see a new one, 126.1 for Jeremy Bootloop. How does that compare to the guys ahead? Well, Nick Thiessen in the lead, 125.9, but crucially, Alex Milward, 26.2. So he caught 110 to Alex Milward, who made a tiny mistake last lap. And actually, Alex Milward is under real threat to lose that draft to Sergio Fernandez. So we are seeing this race develop on multiple fronts, and this has all the makings of a race that's gonna be a real thriller, a nail-biter all the way to the bitter end until Gernot Fritsch wins.
Watching a replay now of a change for 10th place. Chris Baumann was able to get around Jamie Hall down into turn number 1. That seems to be the most popular passing zone today so far, Ozzy. And it is a great passing zone, but you've got to be fast through the Senna S, or else you're going to lose the momentum down on the straightaway. Chris Baumann, though, he was able to perfect that turn and perfect that momentum. He's going to keep 10th place and be a new face up there in the top 10.
Yeah, indeed so. And one more point about the turn, the first corner, turn number 1, is that it allows for a lot of diving overtakes because it is slightly cambered to the inside. You can really brake late. It's deceptively wide on the entry of the corner, so that means that sometimes you're gonna have guys sending it all the way into the corner, riding that camber of the corner, riding that curve, and then maybe slide in front of you, and you have to check up really behind them. So you have to be careful going side by side in that first corner, and then it's gonna go quickly back to the right and then to the left. And as you accelerate out of the corner, you might get a better exit if you are on the outside. So you have a chance for a crossover move into turn number 4, as we see Gernot Fritsch actually getting a little bit more anxious behind Lepisto now. He's getting just a tiny bit closer, was the fastest of the 3 last time by with a 125.7. Of course, he has a 2-car draft, so that in and as itself doesn't mean too much. But remember, according to my estimate of the straight line speeds and according to history with Gernot Fritsch, he's gonna have least wing out of these 3. So he can bide his time, he can wait and see, and he's certainly playing the long con here, is the Red Baron. Der Rote Kampflieger.
We're riding on board now a replay of Dennis Shanning, who looped it just a little bit in the Senna S. He's back in, I believe, last place. Last I checked, that's where he started, but he had gained 2 spots right before that, and that's all for a loss so far for him. But back up front, Ozzy, you mentioned that Gernot Fritsch, he was indeed looking to get around Antti Lepisto. They're gaining on Nick Thiessen a little bit on the straight line speed. Do you think Gernot's getting held up here by Antti? Do you think he would be able to catch Nick Thiessen if he's able to get around Antti?
Well, I'm gonna direct you to the TV screens and gonna say no, because Antti is also equally behind Nick Thiessen right now, and it is very difficult to find an overtaking spot if you can't get close enough onto the main straight. So I think they are not being held up as much as they are, having the gap close up due to the draft, then separating again, then closing up once again. It's hard to say who has the fastest outright speed out of these 3 at the moment. I'm gonna say it's Nick Thiessen, just because even though he's not able to get away, the guys behind are not getting clear overtaking chances, and that is usually a good sign for the guy leading the pack. But, well, the further the race goes on, the better Gernot's pace is gonna proceed. So I wonder what can Baron von Frischhofen do as the race progresses over its halfway point.
I've also been keeping an eye on 5th place, Sergio Fernandez. He's been closing in on Teemu Vaskilampi a little bit for his spot up in 4th place. Fernandez and Millward still working together nose to tail, the 10 and the 5 car, but Vaskilampi seems to be losing a bit of ground to these leaders as well.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of ground as Antti is having to defend here. Gernot is gonna go to the outside into turn number 1. Can he do it here? Antti's defending the inside, locking up the brakes, and Gernot not gonna be able to pull through. Trying to the inside there, nothing doing there. Gernot backing away cleverly there, but that was a first attack really from Gernot Fritsch. So he is starting to gauge Antti, trying to see a weakness, and this is what Gernot does. This is where Gernot Fritsch is at his absolute finest. In a battle like this, well, he can lead a race like nobody else. But when he's behind somebody, he can wait, he can be so deceptive behind you. And then when he senses that faint trickle of blood in you, when you make a tiny bit of an error, you just scratch yourself a little bit onto something sharp, and you open your hand just a little bit, while he's pouncing on that blood like a hungry wolf, and he's gonna take position away from you. And here we see the first signs of the ferocity that Gernot Fritzsche possesses with his cars. He can be aggressive, he can be opportunistic, but he's always clean. And that's the most crucial part of Gernot Fritzsche's driving. So in many ways, he's the perfect specimen for these cars. And well, he may not be leading this race, but he certainly has the stuff to take it away should Antti make a mistake and then gonna go and chase Nick Thyssen here. Major championship implications, remember, and I wonder, is that gonna weigh down on the shoulders of Antti Lepistö, who was looking so good for the championship just a couple of rounds ago?
On screen, you just saw a replay of Martin Gronberg. He saw Rob Olenek get a little bit sideways in his battle with Phil Lake in front of him. Some teammates up there having some fun back in the mid-pack of this field. But yeah, we just saw Fritzsche get more and more aggressive up there with Antti Lepistö. And, you know, you can't blame him because the only driver that Gernot Fritzsche cannot finish behind today is Antti Lepistö in terms of the championship points battle. There are only 8 points separating them. Lepistö on top of that. And, you know, he's got to get around him today or he's going to have a lot of work to do next week at Silverstone.
Indeed, and on screen we have this battle as well between the two teammates and seeing how they are going to be developing on, and a good battle there outside the top 10 positions, I do believe. And Alex Milward has spun around actually. Oh, Milward just spun around, and we are watching this battle pack getting closer and closer. Meanwhile, Philip Lake and Rob Olenek waiting on that replay for Alex Milward. We're gonna get it soon, not quite yet, as it seems like Philip Lake is gonna stay ahead of Rob Olenek. So let's see what happened to Alex Milward there, because he has lost a lot of ground.
He got a little bit of help here from Sergio Fernandez. He had gotten around Fernandez, or at least he was looking for a way around, and Fernandez couldn't. He wasn't going to let him through. Fernandez was eagerly trying to get back by on the inside. So many switchbacks there through the track, and you know, you go from outside to inside and back again, and just not enough room for that.
Oh yeah, that was so unlucky, you know. Alex got through him at first, and Sergio trying to battle back, as he has every right to do. And then he was just on the inside, being pinched a little bit by Alex, but Alex was doing nothing wrong. He was leaving him minimal room there, but still enough racing space. And Sergio just not able to keep his line on the inside, and if you're gonna have somebody to blame for that, it is Sergio Fernandez there, putting Maldonado out for a change, as Olenek gets past Philip Lake, but goes a little bit wide. They're gonna battle once again. Mike Rosimas as well, he's been quiet today. Let's see if he can make a screamer here. Martin Gronberg as well joining the back. Here is Rob Olenek trying to defend his position on the inside. Philip Lake getting mighty sideways on the outside, gonna go in and around the lake at Interlagos, between the lakes, and defend his position against Mike Rosimas, who is on the outside. But Philip Lake on the inside, is he going to be able to defend the position? The answer is going to be a no, a resounding no, trying to go on the outside, but nothing doing there. Well, actually, Rosimas was a little bit late on the exit, but yeah, still going to be able to get that position. Gromberg looking behind them, as is John Stevens. So this is turning quietly into quite a battle.
And he's going to get freight trained. But how about Gernot Fritzsche getting around Lepistö? A little bit of contact between the two. Fritzsche goes around in the center as he continues on his way. But he's going to lose a spot to Teemu as well. He falls back to fourth.
Yeah, Fritzsche got a little bit of damage out of that one, and his wing is all bent up. Here we're gonna see them on the main straight, heading into turn number 1. Fritzsche gonna look to the outside. Antti defending the inside once again, and we're gonna see Antti getting ahead a little bit on the inside, but not enough to clear Gernot, who is gonna still hold on to it. And here, well, Antti was giving him a little bit of a squeezed room, but enough of a space. Gernot sliding just a little bit wide out of the corner, and just an unfortunate contact between the tires of those cars gonna send Gernot Fritzsche 360 up and around, and let's see if he can catch back up to the leaders. He has a bit of damage. I wonder how much that is gonna affect his straight line speed. We're gonna see that soon. But yeah, Teemu Vaskilampi now acting as a cushion between Antti and Gernot, and championship well, it's gonna be heading a little bit more towards Antilepista now with that, even though Gernot just lost that one position, but crucially, he lost the attack he had on Ante.
And Gernot also was getting closed in on by Sergio Fernandez, who, by the way, got caught by Jeremy Boutaloop. He had shrunk that gap from 3 seconds down to just a couple of car lengths. So Boutaloop taking a peek into the side of the top 5. He's still got just a little less than half of this race left to get that job done.
Almighty pace as well from Jeremy Boutaloop. Fastest driver last lap around. Here we see the lap comparison as well between Sergio Fernandez and Jeremy Boutaloop. Lap 16, you can see it's just under a tenth faster. Lap 15, however, over half second, and lap 14, when they had this battle, 1.5 seconds. And that's how Jeremy Boutaloop has made it up. He's been more consistent and a little bit faster all the way through. And now Fernandez has Gernot Fritzsche to contend with. Gernot, who we are still wondering if he has significant damage or not. But Fernandez might be seeing a chance to get past the 20 or something like champion. 20 or something time champion even.
Absolutely. He's stacking him up. I do wonder, like you said, if that damage has affected him badly. Because it's going to take a lot for him, I think, to get back to Vascalampi. Oh, and Philip Lake has looped it around. That number 4 car is off in the runoff. And this was all by himself, I believe, although he was getting passed by Martin Gronberg. Yeah, same corner, too.
Yeah, he was just getting anxious there a couple of laps ago, getting a little bit sideways, and now he got 2 sideways, and he went in and around, and back he comes. But he's all the way down in the 18th place, so that's going to be a long way for him to climb to get back into the battle, and he has Pawlowski as well right behind him, so he's not going to be home free just yet.
A lot of drivers, a lot of skilled drivers as well, making some mistakes here in the middle part of this race.
Terra side by side as well. Sorry to interrupt you, Terra, for the 13th place, and Rosima's gonna get through. That was a really nice one. Rosima's going a little bit sideways. I wonder though, is Olenik gonna come back at him here? He's very close. He has a good run. To the outside he tries.
He's going to come back at him, but Rasimus is going to go defensive down into the left-hander. Can there be an over-under? No, Rasimus is going to get a great corner exit, and Rob Olenek not able to close in yet. We'll see if he can duck his nose underneath here. Not quite. He's not going to be able to get up there. There seems to be a lot of dirty air just trying to follow these cars so tight through all of these left and right-handers.
Yes, that is so. You know, it's, well, not on those low corners. It's not going to have that big of an effect, but still, the Lotus 79, even in these low corners, it's still going fast enough for the downforce to have some sort of an effect. And that means Olenek, well, he's struggling in general in these low pieces, but he has an almighty car on a straight line, and he is certainly close enough to Rasimas to make some noise here. Let's see what happens as they head onto the main straight, Nick.
Here we go. Up through the gears, accelerating. Flat out, Olenek going to try to catch some slipstream. Oh, and you can see him close in a hurry, but is he going to close in time? He's not going to be able to, but down through the S. Trying to straighten that corner out as much as possible, trying to get a big launch onto the bigger straightaway. As we see Boutaloop making a pass around Sergio Fernandez. He's going to get that done. Fernandez trying to come back out on the outside. He's going to have to drift that car all the way through that turn. He holds on to it. Great job from both of them.
Yeah, that was a great move from Jeremy Boutaloop, showing why he is World Championship caliber driver and passing Sergio Fernandez, and he just needs to run away from him. Now, he can't afford to get caught up in this battle. He has Gernot and Teemu right ahead of him, and potentially sniffing at the side of a podium here in Germany.
And side by side behind him, Chris Baumann trying to get around David Roth. He was around him for a while, just about for a couple of turns, and Roth came back at him, and he's going to hold him off, not going to let him pass. Let's see if Baumann can get him back out on the front straightaway, though. Like we've seen so many drivers to the outside. Roth's going to go a little bit defensive here, down into the first couple of turns. Nothing for Baumann. Just can't get the speed on the outside as Roth with a little bit of a checkup there. It's going to send them both braking down into the Senna S.
Yeah, that was a little bit rough from him heading into turn number 1, but he survived well there, and Fernandez still able to follow Bootloop reasonably well as I'm watching that, but Bootloop having a little bit of fun with these cars, I can see, and you can just see the talent there when you watch these guys driving around, just seeing how well they are controlled. And usually when the car gets sideways, that is where the experience comes in. The underexperienced drivers, they will try to hastily overcorrect this slide and just gonna, try and attempt to get it back immediately, which results only in more drama. And the more experienced drivers are gonna get let the slide play out and accept that they're gonna lose 10 or 2, and that their tires are gonna be hot. Jeremy Bootloop, what he's doing, he's steering into the slide just enough to stop it, but not enough to overcorrect it, and gonna get back to it and losing virtually no time, even if he loses the grip from these tires. So that's the difference between novice, advanced, and master levels of driving, as courtesy of Jeremy Bootloop and other drivers. And Nick Thiessen last time by 127.1. That was a slow one. And Antti Lepistö right behind him. Vaskilampi also being challenged by Gernot Fritzsche, who put a 125.1 on the board. Does Gernot Fritzsche have damage? Well, if he does, he's hiding it very well here, Nick.
Yeah, he has caught Teemu Vaskilampi as he saw him go purple there. Fastest lap of the race so far. He has caught back up to the tail end of that number 7. That is for the podium. Remember, Prix trying to recover from his spin down through the Senna S like we saw a couple of laps ago. And we were wondering if he was going to be able to hang on to 4th place. He certainly is. And now he's even looking to get back onto the podium.
He is doing that very well. And not only looking to get back in the podium, but gonna close that gap in championship down to Antti, who is still sitting in the 2nd position. And he's only hoping now that Nick and Antti are gonna battle.
Antti's been closing. I've been watching Nick Thiessen, and he seems to be losing the handling on that car a little bit. I saw him lock up in a couple of turns, slide a little bit more than you want to through a couple of these turns here at Interlagos as well. And Antti Lepistö, that's the last driver you want behind you when you are contending for a lead. But, at the same time, Antti looking for his first win of the season.
Well, I think it would be there are some other drivers I would less want behind me, because with Antti I know that even if I lose the battle, I'm gonna have a clean battle. With some of those guys, this is usually a very clean series, but with some of those guys, you might not have that clean of a battle. So Antti is a great guy to race with. I've raced with him many times, and now Antti actually gonna go purple and take the fastest lap away from Gernot Fritzsche. So 125.140, and the championship contenders are showing their pace as we head into the last 9 laps of this Brazilian Grand Prix, and it's anyone's game so far. I would say anyone in the top 4 is within a shout of the victory, with a black horse of Jeremy Bootloop. The dark horse here, not the black horse, those are underwear, but the dark horse of Jeremy Bootloop. 125.2 last time by. If these guys in front of him start battling, look out for Jeremy.
Antti Lepistö just a few hundredths of a second faster than Gernot Fritzsche and the rest of the field, of course, and that's the last thing Nick Thiessen wants to see. But you are right, Antti has been very clean all season. That's been his demeanor all throughout his career here on the iRacing service, and that's how you're going to rack up championships, being fast and clean at the same time. But Thiessen, he's still got a very long 8.5 laps left. About to be 8 laps left. That's going to be a terrible 8 laps that he's going to have to suffer through with Antti Lepistö all in his mirrors here.
And yeah, you can just see Nick not getting away from Antti at all. Nick went purple last time by, though. 125.115 without the draft. As Gernot is gonna get through on Teemu Vaskilampi, he's gonna try for the chance. Can he do it on the outside here? No, sliding a little fine. Going over the grass, off the track, and back again. Where is Jeremy gonna be? Bootloop on the outside, sideways! Oh! Deja vu! I've been in this place before. Jeremy Bootloop absolutely sideways, going inertia drift there. Gernot fight back on the inside. 2 gladiators fighting it out, and Bootloop gonna make it around the outside, but still Gernot Fritzsche alongside him. Oh, these two drivers, these 2 gladiators are gonna battle it out for the 4th place, and Bootloop gonna get by on the inside. Can Gernot answer back on the inside into next corner? No, he can't. So he has to concede position, and there we see aggression turning into a loss for Gernot. He wanted 3rd, instead he got 5th, and a bitter pill to swallow.
We're going to see a replay of this. As I can report, there's contact between Derricks and Fernandez behind them. But you're going to see him just get hung up here on the outside a little bit, hung up on the grass, and then he falls right back in to Jeremy Boudaloop, who was so close to making contact with him. Great job getting around him, but it was razor thin close there.
And Fernandez and Derricks are still alongside each other as we are on the main straight. Fernandez gonna defend his position, try to defend his position on the inside. Derricks gonna try for a pass on the outside. Heading into turn number 1. He has the yellow helmet in a yellow car. Can he please the crowd, who surely have seen some yellow helmeted drivers do heroics here at Interlagos? No, he can't, not quite yet, but his attempts are certainly there. Marco Derricks all of a sudden finding himself on the edge of the top 6. Can he make a move here? Round outside he tries.
This battle has been intense lap after lap, and it's getting even more heated up. Derricks, a little bit of contact there again.
So brave.
Derricks is going to get by, though, on the outside.
So brave. Even after that contact, Marco Derricks wasn't able to give in. Fernandez has hit Milward once in this race. He's been getting a bit of contact here as well, getting a little bit heated has Sergio Fernandez, but that didn't save him here from the attacks of the Dutchman, Marco Derricks. He got by to the 6th place, just not willing to lift off the throttle there. That was a great display of driving talent there from Marco. Meanwhile, gonna report a little bit from the leading 5 cars, since you are interested in that one without a doubt. Nick Thiessen once again being able to pull away 2/10 to Antti Lepistö last time by, so his late race pace is certainly great. Teemu Vaskilampi not close enough to them, but still holding on to 3rd place. What can Boudaloop there, and what can Fritsch do here? Those are the 5 contenders, and they are going very fast right now. Both Thiessen and Lepistö went under 25 last time by, with Thiessen having the hair of an advantage there, but not much at all.
We're watching a great battle back here as well. That's David Roth trying to hold off hard charging Chris Bauman and Alex Milward. That's 8th, 9th, and 10th. They've all been side by side for a couple of corners through the last few laps, and they were closing in actually on Derricks and Fernandez, who are still going at it for 6th place. Just great battling all over the track, Ozzy. I don't know where to look.
Well, look at the cars for starters, and then the track. I would advise there. The crowds may have some pleasing sights too, as we are in Brazil and it's getting heated up. But just look at the track. There's a battle going on. And, and Milward, he's on a bit of a recovery drive here. In a 10th place, he got punted out by Sergio Fernandez, remember, earlier on, and made some mistake even before that. And now he is sitting there trying to claw those positions back, trying to get back at Chris Bauman, trying to get back at David Roffe, and he can still see Fernandez in his sights, but he is going to have to be quick to get those places back, but certainly not the typical Alex Milward in a top 5 charge that we're seeing. Instead, it's a more calmer, more mature Alex in this race, and a little bit slower as well. I wonder if that's doing him good.
Oh, Gernot Fritsch in trouble again. Contact with Jeremy Boudaloop. Oh, this was down in turn 1 again.
Yeah, you can see them getting side by side into the first corner. Boudaloop was on the inside. Okay, he was coming closer. Fritsch was holding to the outside, but they didn't really make contact. But there was a bit of netcode between those guys. Really unfortunate of an incident. And Fritsch probably going to be wondering why we have these outsiders in this series anyway, as he's been hit twice now. Well, he's been taken out twice now in a short span of time, as Marco Derricks is going to get past Gernot Fritsch as well. But that was an unfortunate bit of contact, and once again playing right into the hands of Antti Lepistö, who in turn has caught up back to Nick Thiessen. Well, okay, there's a bit of a gap, but last time by he was 1.5 tenths faster.
That uphill battle in the points for Gernot Fritsch is getting steeper and steeper here in the penultimate round of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. He's lost that spot to Marco Derricks. He's under threat from Fernandez, who has been caught himself by David Roth back in 7th and 8th. Alex Milward, by the way, was able to get around Chris Bauman for 9th place as we were watching that.
Yeah, so that's one position for him, for Alex Milward. Is he going to be able to catch up to that next pack? Marco Derricks, Gernot Fritsch, Sergio Fernandez, and David Roth. and that's an unusual quartet. And coming back is Chris Bauman and Alex Milward, but gonna get pushed alongside out of the track. Yeah, so that was an unfortunate bit of, well, not really contact between those two guys, as Bauman was just avoiding Milward, I think, trying to avoid turning into him. And as a result of that, had to give up a little bit of time, and crucially had to give up the battle as well.
Yeah, hard racing and just a little bit of a slip up there. A little bit of a mistake from Chris Bauman trying to hold that line through there. Not enough room for him to do that. So we'll come back live. He hasn't lost any positions back there. He just has lost a lot of ground. Great battles all over this track. Like you said, Peterson has been caught a little bit by Untitled Chapter back up front, but we've also got that great battle in the mid-pack with Gernot Frisch trying to hold off Fernandez and Roth as he's trying to come back at Jeremy Boutaloop for that 4th place position at the same time.
Yeah, well, he's gonna come back at Marco Derrick's first. Marco Derrick sitting in the 5th place, ahead of Gernot right now. Boutaloop is running up and away, and he's trying to catch up to Paskilampi. Not gonna be able to do it, however, not at his pace. And I'm meanwhile watching Lepistö and Peterson, and Lepistö 124.7. He went purple last time by. Change the cameras to there. Come on, it's a lead battle. 3 laps to go for these guys for the race lead. It's gonna be Nick Peterson versus Antti Lepistö, and Antti knows for the championship. The 2nd place is more than he could ever ask for, especially with Gernot Frisch all the way down to 6th. But he has a race win in his sights, and I wonder how hungry Antti is for his, as unbelievable as it sounds, 1st win of the season.
Consistency has paid off for Antti this season, and it would, like you said, it would continue to pay off if he finished 2nd today. He doesn't really need this win, as Frisch is down in 6th place. He's still going to be able to gap him heading into that season finale at Silverstone. But regardless, Lepistö is just a few tenths of a second away from his 1st win late this season in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. He's just about to be 2 laps away as well from that deciding finish. And he would love to get that number 3 car out in front.
Yeah, he's catching Nick Peterson all the time in the draft. You can see how much he's catching up. Was 4.5 tenths away at the start of the straight, and he's gonna be less than 2 tenths away at the end of it. Gonna be right behind Nick Peterson here for lead. Lepistö making a bit of a mistake there, going a bit too sideways, and I was already noticing earlier on that he was having some difficulties getting the grip down. So Peterson now, is he gonna be distracted by Antti making a mistake, or is he going to use this opportunity to break up a little bit of a gap on the infield section and run away with the win? We'll have to wait and see with that one. Battles brewing all over the track. Gonna give a mention to Jeremy Boutaloop as well, who is showing once again his caliber by driving a 124.5 last time by, and I don't need to be an expert of this series to tell you that that is a good lap time.
Certainly is. Couple tenths faster than the last purple lap we saw, and he has closed in as well on Teemu Vaskilampi. That's for the last spot on the podium. That's for 3rd place. Don't know if he's going to have the pace or the time to get around him, but he's certainly there. It's been an impressive drive for the black stripe driver from 7th up to 4th.
And he's right behind Vaskilampi now. Look at him tuck in. Vaskilampi, what would he want more than another podium for his difficult season? He got a win last week at Laguna Seca. Is he gonna be able to keep his podium streak going? Or is Boutaloop gonna jinx it away from him in the last lap? Oh, Vaskilampi being a little bit lazy in his defense. However, Boutaloop not taking the chance. Going to the outside, taking the safe choice. They almost come into contact. Boutaloop sliding it from the outside. Is able to hold on. Vaskilampi just pinching him a little bit, heading onto the second part of the Senna-S and still holding on. But Boutaloop, this is not over yet. Not by any means. Lepistö a bit away from Peterson, so we can focus on the 3rd place battle here on the final lap, Nick.
As we race on the white flag lap, Boutaloop again went the fastest lap that time. Like he said, that might have been his last opportunity, though, to get around Vaskilampi for this podium. Oh, he dives in deep. A little bit of a hesitation, bit of a flick for his wheel there, trying to hold on to that spot. He comes back and charges at that number 7, but Teemu is able to hold him off for now. I don't know if Boutaloop is going to have the chance to get around him. But for Nick Thyssen, just a couple of corners left for him to get his second win of this season.
Yeah, and Thyssen is leading away onto the main straight. And what a race it has been for him. Keeping Antti Lepistö and all those guys at bay all race long. And Nick Thyssen is gonna come to the line as the winner of round number 11 in the Classic Lotus Grand Prix Series. And his second win of the season. But who's gonna finish third? That's the real question. Boot loop, he's close. Get the cameras ready. He's right alongside and just gonna lose off to Teemu Vaskilampi. That was 4/100ths of a second between those two guys. Wow, we get rest of the guys finishing as well. I'm not seeing any battles as close as that one because that was epic for the final podium. Teemu just able to hold on.
If you're wondering about Gernot Frisch, he's gonna wind up down in 6th place. He wasn't able to catch Marco Derricks. How about Marco Derricks coming from 9th up to 5th? He had a great race today, and one that was exciting, just like a lot of these other drivers as well. But there's that photo finish between Teemu Vaskilampi and Jeremy Boudreaup. Like you said, 4/100ths, like you're right, of a second. Incredible finish between those two drivers. But that is going to do it for this race here at Interlagos.
Oh, hold on. Keith Turner and Dennis Shanning. Let's get everyone across the line because we had 24 drivers coming across the finish line, all within the lead lap. So let's get those last two.
That is impressive.
Well. Now you can go.
That is an impressive feat. Everyone finishing on the lead lap today. It might be the first time we've seen that this season. I'll have to fact check that. But everyone finishing within just over a second, or just over a minute, as well from one another. Very clean, very competitive race here today. But now we're going to step aside here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We've got a full rundown of those 24 fast drivers when we come back, as well as driver interviews. "11 rounds down, only one to go," because we just saw the conclusion of round 11 here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series at Interlagos, and it's Nick Thyssen winning by just over 1 second over Antti Lepistö, who's not quite able to get that first win of the season, but Nick Tisson was able to get his second win of the season. Teemu Vaskalampi and Jeremy Bouteloup, great drive from both of those guys today. They're going to finish 3rd and 4th. But how about Marco Derricks coming from 9th up to 5th? He's going to hold off Gernot Frisch at the end, who he's going to have quite an uphill battle at Silverstone next week to win this championship. Sergio Fernandez, another good race from him with David Roth. Starting 8th, he's going to finish 8th in front of Alex Millward and Chris Baumann, who were by themselves battling a great deal as well today to round out the top 10.
Yep, and it's gonna be Frick Ten Kate finishing 11th ahead of Jamie Hall, who was 12th. Mike Rasimas 13th, Rob Olenek 14th, Martin Gromberg finishing 15th behind them. Philip Lake, he went in and around his surname a couple of times, gonna finish 16th after starting in 15th. Great battles for him though. John Stevens 17th, Jesus Vasilias 18, Angelika Pawlowski 19, and Nicolas Mukanos in 20th position. Gonna round out your last couple of guys as well. Barry West, Gorchinet, Keith Herner, and Dennis Shanning rounding out your 24 driver field. And as we said, all but 2 of those drivers finishing in under a minute, and everyone finishing on the lead lap with no major damage from anyone. So, you know, that's great. And we're going to let Nick Schmeeg, for a change, talk with Teemu Vaskilampi.
All right. Teemu, congratulations. You got another podium. You keep that streak alive. It's not the win like we saw last week, but you get the job done to hold off a hard-charging Jeremy Bouteloup there at the end. How was that, those closing laps with him?
Oh, yeah, that was tough. I've had a good, hot lap pace this week, but I have struggled a lot with race pace. I just can't make my set work whole race. I did some tweaking to my driving style and set, but it was the most slippery weather I've seen whole week, and just last 7-8 laps car was so freaking impossible to drive. It was just horrible.
We saw a lot of drivers just having to slide into the turns, just to get the cars cornered and just to keep them in a straight line or somewhat of a straight line. What was the downforce like for you? And I don't know what you know about any of the other drivers, but we saw a lot of discussion on what kind of setup you were going to have today. And so how was just trying to get a car put together, trying to get a car built back on the paddock for this race like for you?
Well, you must have enough top speed, and to get that you will struggle in corners, and the more top speed you have, more you probably will struggle at the end. So I should have put more wing. Actually, I had decent top speed. I could have put more wing and it should have been better, but I didn't expect the weather like this. So it was, but I'm happy for P3. That was so much work, and I could have died like any lap. Last 7-8 laps, it was just horrible.
Seemed like a lot of guys out there were struggling. They were in a similar situation with their car. Everyone just drifting around these turns. We head to a little bit of a different track next week, a very flat one, Silverstone. I believe it's the Legacy layout as well. How are you feeling going into the last race of the season there with such a different car in terms of a setup?
Well, Silverstone, it's easily worst track for me ever in iRacing. I have probably never gained iRacing in Silverstone in any car. It's like total bad karma track for me, so don't expect me to survive there.
Well, hopefully you can finish at least the majority of the laps there. But I agree with you. I've always struggled at Silverstone myself. Before we let you go, Teemu, congrats once again on your another podium here in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. But is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Lotus guys, and you guys for broadcast.
Absolutely, we love doing. We love covering this series because you guys continue week in and week out to put on a great show. So thank you so much for stopping by, and we hope that you are able to survive the race next week at Silverstone.
We will see.
That's Teemu Vaskalampi finishing third place today, and that's going to close our show as well, we want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out today for the penultimate round in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, including all the amazing drivers like Teemu who put on the show for us today. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies who provided the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde who provides our music. So seize the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the crew today in the booth, Ozzy, Joe, and Dougie. And don't forget to check us out on social media. You can do that at our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, where you can help show your support by picking up some awesome GSRC merchandise. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSRC_Graham, and of course on our YouTube channel. You've already found it, so if you haven't already, scroll down and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. Speaking of not missing racing, be sure to catch the Absolute Beginners League, who is taking the Skippies to Olton Park at 2 p.m. Eastern today. You've got 23 minutes to prepare for that one. But to see more of today's racing in the Lotus 79 series, join us next Sunday for the season finale, like we said, at Silverstone, here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. With all that being said, thanks so much for joining us today, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.